Welcome to Wear Your Cape to Work, a podcast hosted by Project Insight. We believe that project and program managers are the real superheroes of every organization. They wear their capes to work every day, and we want to celebrate them. Our guests on the podcast are project professionals who have poured their superpowers into driving successful projects across different industries. We want you to hear their stories so you can be inspired to wear your own cape to work. Our guest on today's podcast is Jeremiah Hammon. You may already be familiar with Jeremiah if you're active in the project management community on LinkedIn. His passion and enthusiasm for PMBOK-aligned principles is contagious, and his company, Project Revolution, stands by and supports project managers who are headed to their certifications or who want to gain leadership roles in their organization. He believes in the power of people in projects, and we're going to talk to him today about laying the best foundations for project management work. His superpower is building bridges on teams and also bringing emotional intelligence to your relationships and to your leadership roles. Okay, thanks for joining us today, Jeremiah. We're so happy you're here.
I am so excited to be here, Trina and Matthew. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. We are so glad to have another PMP superhero involved with us on the Wear Your Cape to Work podcast. Like we've just introduced, we totally love to celebrate project managers like yourself who have had amazing journeys through really intriguing sectors and industries and have had cool career paths and have kind of grown superpowers that maybe were born inside and kind of got to flourish, or maybe they popped up along the way. So could you tell our audience a little bit about your history, where you started in project management, even if it's how you came to project management in the first place?
Yeah, I'm kind of the accidental project manager, sort of, but not really. I do a lot of strategic things, right? So I started working, in production and manufacturing, and I realized the power of people, right? I know people are the greatest asset in a business. And I was literally, I ended up getting all kinds of different certifications in crane and business and production, doing the thing. I was out there and I was working for a company, and their project management team was just struggling really hard. And I was on the other side of that, in the operations side, rocking it. Just in there doing the thing, working with people, learning the industry inside and out, leveraging all my trainings and stuff and putting it to good use. And I realized I was like, 6 professionals 1 year quit that job. 6 PMPs. These were certified project management professionals. They had, 10, 15, 20 years under their belt of doing it. And they couldn't, the industry was moving so fast, and and it's sad to say, but their thinking was a little bit outdated. And so I was like, I am going to strategically take on project management. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do this because our customers need it. Let's rock it. So I jumped in, and the guy looked at me and he was like, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, absolutely. So he put me in there, and he was just like, hoping, like, my production guy, I hope he doesn't quit. And I got in there and I started realizing the power of project management. And so for 4 years, I took that company from 25 million a year to 50 million a year. We doubled the revenue, leveraging project management best practices. And so I was like, wow, I love project management. I love the interaction. I love what it does for people. I love what it does for the world. Now, how am I going to do more with it? And so I really started looking into, PMP. And
so you didn't have your PMP when you were working at first.
No.
And you said, I heard you say crane. So this is when you were working in the crane manufacturing. What was the company again?
It was called American Equipment, and I worked for them, and they're out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And they're incredible. Like, this company was so incredible, and their team was so, like, everything about the transition they were going through, because they were really in a different stage of their development, which was powerful. And if you understand the business development, they were basically aging and they needed to refresh. And so they brought in a bunch of, different perspectives, different voices, and got people like me in there. And we helped them go to that next level. Now, the interesting thing about that company is they're one of the biggest crane manufacturing companies in the nation. They're taking them all over. That was the vision all along. But I stepped in, and when I saw the PMP, and I was like, this is something I need to get my mind around. It literally changed my life. So you're going to notice one thing about me is I'm pretty proud of the PMP and everything project management, PMI and the PMP, project management professional, all the things they do. I'm like, I put the cape on and let's go. Let's
You
do
drunk
this.
the Kool-Aid.
I drink the Kool-Aid. But here's the thing. It got me into the nuclear. So I've had a really crazy career, just to make a long story short. I've actually I started going after my PMP. I learned that industry. I learned the processes and the procedures, and I started utilizing it. So it helped me get into nuclear. So I jumped into the nuclear sector, and I ended up getting a job where I was to build a water containment unit, which is basically this big water containment unit on top of the nuclear reactor. So if it fails, hopefully I did my job right. And it was actually really cool because it was a robotic line, full robotic line. We had to set it up, and it was like the first time done. Nobody's ever done it. And here I am, all like, got my PMP. Let's rock. I'm dynamite. And I implemented those procedures and processes, and I did it. And so you're going to see one thing about me during these conversations, and what I love also about what you all do is you implement those processes, right? You actually believe in the PMP and PMI and what they're actually doing. And so you have that within your guys' system. I have done the same thing. So I don't believe that the PMP is just a cert. I believe it's 100 a way of leading and directing teams to get better results, 1000%. So from there, I was like, wow, I did this, and I implemented all these process procedures. Then I went into GMD, and that's the ground missile defense.
Okay, wait, say that again.
GMD,
And what does it stand for?
ground course missile defense.
Oh, ground course missile defense.
Yeah.
So you've gone from cranes to the nuclear water containers, and now we're doing missile silos.
Yeah.
What's the timing on this, right? So you get handed your first project manager job without this certificate, right? Without this credo that you believe so heavily in, right? We all do. And then you get your cert, you go into nuclear, then you go into, missiles. What's that timeline look like?
Okay, so 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, all within 7 years, I was then one of the leading project managers, senior project managers running missile silos.
Wow.
Spectacular.
Yeah. Yep. And it's literally
amazing.
And I not only did I do that, but I actually stood up there. I helped stand up their quality system. I helped stood up their total manufacturing system, how we actually manufacture the things, and we had some leverage. We had to leverage if we had some experience, but it was all new team, all new people. Everything we had to redo it. And then I helped them actually get compliant with DCMA for what they call earned value management. And so that was a big effort that I took on fully. So not only did we stand up the quality system, we stood up the manufacturing team, we stood up and I say we, it's like there was me and a team. There's always a team. It's never a me, it's a we, but I was driving and helping them. And then for the earned value management piece, I stood that up, and that opened up amazing doors in my career. And the next thing, I've been armoring bridges, which just is a code for that's more defense stuff that I can't really talk about because it's all over the nation. And then I built bridges, and then I built a bunch of bridges, and I did all of that within 10 years.
That's
Is
amazing.
there something symbolic about building bridges? I mean, you've talked right now about people and relationships. And when you said I've, gone through all of these different areas, and I ended up building bridges, and they're all over the nation. I mean, talk about relationships and the ones that you've built along the way, and how important that team vibe is in the work that you're doing. If there's a story, or if you just want to, go with a mantra, feel free.
I just love to tell people we build bridges, we don't burn them. And I do that both physically and personally. And everything about, and this is, I know it's cliche, watch out, your network is your net worth. And you have to inspire and motivate people to want to be more and not just achieve things if you want to be successful as a project manager. So for me, everything that I learned on my project management journey was how to inspire and motivate a team to do what a lot of people think was impossible. And that's the trick.
Oh, I like that.
Yep.
That's great, to inspire the team, not just to do something fulfilling. We've had some other guests on in nonprofit sector and other humanitarian efforts where, or even in the Fairlife Milk episode, people doing work that they see a result and it's so fulfilling that is the motivation. But you're inspiring someone to do something that seems like they can't do it. That's got a higher degree of difficulty.
It is. But go ahead, Matthew.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, and what an immense bridge you're building, right? This isn't just a little suspension bridge that you can walk across. You're building a really robust structure for that relationship that you have then, right? That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's very People all want to do their best, and they all just need a little encouragement, and all of the potential that they have inside of them. We just have to tap that. We have
Okay,
to
so tell
understand
our
what those
audience how you tap it. I mean, the audience is going to want to know, how do you tap it? Because we can talk about it, right? I
Mhm.
think that there's that whole idea is build relationships, motivate your team. But if you had a piece of advice for our audience today, what are some of the biggest or the most important bullet points of how to do that?
So it goes back to understanding what already motivates them.
Hmm.
So literally listening to understand and not to respond. So you have to be genuinely curious about the person. So when you have a team of people, you go in and you learn a little bit about them, not just, hey, what are your skills, abilities, and talents? It's like, who are you at the deepest level? What are your beliefs, right? If we can understand their identity, how they identify, that drives their values, that drives their behaviors, that drives the environment that they create externally and
Matt,
internally.
Matt's really good at this too. I like to shine that, but Matt, I know it's one of your one of your strong suits to go in and really get to know someone. That takes some time. You can't do that pretend. So maybe both of you can answer, how do you find ways to fit that into the day to day when you have to get things done too?
I personally, I feel very similar tie with Jeremiah here is I genuinely care, right? Care is felt,
Mm-hmm.
and I really want to know,
Mm-hmm.
what those underlying pieces are, so that way we can push them forward and drive what they're looking for, because ultimately that's what's going to get it done, right? More than anything. But I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
enthusiasm, I can just feel it through Jeremiah here. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, I think, key to that personally.
Yeah, let's talk about that enthusiasm, that passion for, building these great teams, motivating them to get this impossible work done. That passion, it seems like it never, it was always being stoked in you. So now you're outside of that and you're doing something, on your own. You have your own company and it's
Mhm.
all about your passion. Maybe share with the audience, where your passion has taken you now and a little bit about, what the company does.
Well, it all ties back into really understanding and appreciating people, and understanding that we actually have a crisis right now in the world that goes far
Mm,
beyond, well, it's in addition to like climate change and all these other things. We've got climate change, politics, poverty, all these things that are different crises happening. But in my opinion, it's leadership is the underlining thing why we have these. So we need better leaders. And I believe project
mm,
managers are the future leaders of the world to bring the
yeah.
projects intact that are not only going to change the world, but potentially save it down the road. Our future depends on the projects we're implementing today. 90 years from now, we're going to know what we did 90 right now. So everything that I've done is I found the power of this. I'm going to the PMP. Everybody watch out. I
Yeah.
firmly believe that the methodologies in PMI are 1000% applicable, not just a certification. So I've created this business, and it's called Project Revolution. And not only do we help people get certified, I partner with incredible people in the industry to bring one of the most dynamic project management professional training courses to teach people not just how to implement, or not just how to pass an exam, but how to implement it. And that's the truth. And that's what I've done with my career. And then on top of that, we're really building um, a lot of structure around how do we get in and facilitate and help these teams really learn how to do this stuff in real time. So we go in and help individuals, then we help teams, and our bigger goal is to help the macro, to help everybody in the whole industry as a whole. And it's called Project Revolution, and I'm a co-founder of it with my partner Brooke Braga, and we are super passionate and excited about what we're doing.
I'm glad about what you guys are doing too. I mean, I feel like I'm having sips of the Kool-Aid right now, Matt. You feel like you're drinking the
Oh
Kool-Aid
no,
too?
Oh yeah, I love
let's
that
do it.
PMI Kool-Aid though. So give me some more. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
wonderful.
it's super good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear about how you do this, how the leadership training works, and how you feel like PMI and PMBOK principles can be adhered to. Like, why stick to them? What's the point of sticking to those best practices?
Well, you can have guesswork, you can have hard work, you can have frameworks, right?
Mm.
That's what you can have. So at the end of the day, a lot of people who are don't utilize this stuff, they're guessing, and it causes hard work. And when we have frameworks, what happens is we can implement tailoring the best practice that needs to be to get the result that we're trying to get. And so we can tailor and grab from the toolbox, just like any mechanic that has a bunch of tools. They're not going to always use the 1/2-inch wrench. Might need a ratchet. They might need all different kinds of extensions, but they have it in their toolbox. Doesn't mean they use it all the time, right? So they don't use it all the time, but they need it when they have it. And so that's what I think is powerful about it, is it's not that it's like one size fits all. It's here's, 7,122 different things that you can do, but what do you need to do right now to get the best result for your team, for your project, for your business, and ultimately for society?
I love that framework idea. The framework is really important. We were at Project Insight, attended the PMI Orange County chapter dinner event last night.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was great. And there's a few PM friends who have just jumped into new roles. And one of them was talking about how there was no project management framework at all at play. And it did feel like chaos at this new company. And to go in, and you can have a couple different mindsets. Can I help establish a framework? And frameworks don't have to happen all at once, right? Little pieces, get the company to kind of take their time, or do you jump in and just join the chaos? And I like what you're saying. A framework seems to bring ease, peace, confidence, assurance. You can focus on the work that needs to get done. And, that's one of the things Project Insight has done. Our company was founded by project management professionals with, let me say that again. Sorry. Project Insight was established with the goals of project managers in mind. We had project management professionals who were informing the software that we were building. And because of that, we kept the software tools and features aligned with those PMBOK best practices. And hearing you talk about that framework just makes me so excited that the software is built that way, because it does give power to a project manager to have that framework set up in the online software tool that you're already using. It's established, people become familiar. Matt, what have you seen with project managers who have a tool that has access to those kinds of features? Are they enthused about that? Does it?
Always, right? I think that often, project managers, especially this idea of chaos that you get, left with, here's your pen and here's your paper, make it work, right? So this idea that you can have an application that scales as you're building these, the scaffolding of framework that your organization is going to use, it goes a long way. To then cut that chaos out completely, right? If we can adhere to these practices and this is the way we get things done, we can tweak it. It doesn't need to be that way forever, but at least then you have something you can baseline off of to go with, right? So, yeah.
So, Jeremiah, what is is it Project Revolution or PM Revolution? Also, I forgot.
Project Revolution.
Okay. So, Jeremiah, what is Project Revolution's kind of agenda? Like, where do you start with the, people who are coming to you for the first time? Where do you begin? Where do you head? How long are they involved with you? What is the outcome?
So it's kind of like get the cert, get the job, get the impact, right? So people who come to me, they're either looking for, hey, how do we get certified and how can I really implement it? Like, I focus more on people who don't want to pass a test. There's lots of courses out there for people who just want to pass a thing and utilize it. I focus on the people who want to implement it. And so people who come to us are usually like, hey, I really want to be able to actually understand and utilize this stuff. And that's the entry. Then there's also team training, like facilitating, where we solve big problems for businesses. And so those same people that we're training down here, those are mobilizers. They go into a business and they go, oh, hey, I was working with Jeremiah and this guy's really crazy and he's cool and he does a lot of cool stuff with project management. Let's bring him in here to help our team understand design sprints, things like that. And then from there, we just keep growing in with the business to help them with whatever project needs they have. We can satisfy all of them. But that entry level is usually at the base level with project managers just trying to be better project managers.
I love that. I also really appreciate that you have that tie to that higher level of what are the societal impacts, right? That the project managers, I always think of Beyonce, Who Run the World, project managers, right? That's really who does it. So
yeah.
I think that, that's right in line with that. But does Project Revolution have any specific focus that you have for those higher level pieces, or is it really just any collective good where we can raise that next generation of leadership?
There's a whole plan behind that, and I'm not yet disclosing what that is, but we do have a bigger
Another
plan.
secret.
Yep, where we're going with Project Revolution.
Yeah.
And 2025 for me is setting the foundation for that. So over the next year, people are going to see
Mhm.
me growing something different than what I'm talking about now, but it all ties together and it's going to have way more impact.
Yeah, so I'm hearing if you need to get certified for your PMP,
Mhm.
if you need to figure out how to flesh out the knowledge you gained getting that PMP,
Mhm.
or if you need someone to help you bring those best practices into your whole organization
Absolutely.
and bring leadership so that there's understanding of what those best practices are and how they help an organization thrive and why they're important and how they can bring success, you're the person to give a shout. You and Brooke, give a shout to Project Revolution and have them assist, have them, come alongside, have them show you, in a consultancy kind of a way. That's really excellent. How cool.
Yep.
I,
We're a
I
strategic partner.
That's wonderful. I think that it's also, I appreciate the fact that you kind of say, if you're trying to pass the test, you can do that. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. But if you
Right.
want to take these core principles and show how they can scale your business, your life, your operations, that's what
Mhm.
we're here to do, is to
Yep.
make that bigger impact. Yeah.
Do you know what
Well,
we should do? I mean, I hate to interrupt, but I think that there might be some people in our audience who don't even know what PMBOK is. Do you want to maybe give just a quick rundown of what's PMBOK? What does it mean to be PMBOK aligned or compliant or have PMBOK best practices? Maybe in a nutshell, couple,
yeah,
3, 4 sentences, couple minutes.
sure. The PMBOK is the Project Management Book of Knowledge, and it's basically the accredited, recognized standard, global gold standard for project management right now in the US. And 9 out of every 10 jobs are looking for PMP preferred, meaning that you understand the language, the communication, and how to implement these best practices. And that's put on by PMI, who is the Project Management Institute. And they've been around for 50 years, 50 plus years. And right now there's 1.5 million PMP certified PMPs in the world, and we need a lot more.
Because there's a lot to get done,
There's a
even
lot
from
of
the
stuff going on.
standpoint, yeah, a lot of, basic, just get it done day to day stuff, a lot
Yep,
of growing industry stuff, a lot of new leadership and initiatives that have to take place.
that's the key
There's
right
always somebody to lead that work for sure.
there. And I want to say one other thing here really quick. It's leadership. At the end of the day, leadership is the ultimate advantage. And a lot of people immediately think that, project management is about the processes and it's about the people first. And so when you take these tests, you're learning how the people actually do the work. They have to understand the processes, but leadership is the ultimate advantage. And that is a core underlining methodology and principle behind the PMBOK and where they're going. They used to be a lot of processes, 15, 20 years ago. But as they evolve, we evolve. They all know the human component. That's the greatest asset in the business, and we manage that. They'll manage the projects.
I love that. Do agree that you can feel that in the new waves of project management professionals as they come in, because sometimes at least I've experienced kind of a reluctancy to lead from project managers, right? Well, I'm here to guide process, and I love that you guys are empowering and say, no, you're not here to do just that. You need to lead, first with the people. That's splendid.
80%, 80% of the project when you're in there, all those things that I did. I mean, I've taken teams, I made companies millions, and I've taken teams to the next level in their career. A lot of them are doing amazing things right now, just from some of the principles that I helped them grow into. And it's all leading. Everything was lead. The process, once we get it, it's simple. We got that. But then how do we actually take action and effectively communicate to one another what it needs to be done and when it needs to be done? And what is the level of effort behind it? And do we have the right skills? All of that's communication, understanding, and people.
Sounds like, there's leadership is a buzzword. It's out there. It's all over the place. Oh, take our leadership course. Oh, have this leadership class. Oh, good leaders are this. Good leaders are that. Good leaders. And I think people think to themselves, oh, I know, I know, I know, I know. You've told me already. I know. But it sounds to me like this is more, hey, we're bringing some fertilizer. We're going to get you into the right pot, we're going to let this plant really get some roots and hold on to that soil and the nourishment that's coming from us being alongside you. And then, I have a plant behind me and it's got some stakes in it, but you're being like the stake of this weighty, thing that people are really accomplishing, and you're staking yourself alongside of them and helping them still, grow towards, the sunlight, for heaven's sake, to
I love
accomplish
that.
the work that they need to with that supportive structure around until they're ready to stand on their own, it sounds like.
The whole goal is to get people from forming to performing and loving the journey on the way there.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
I think maybe one more quick topic before we close. I'd love to talk about either your passion for this emotional intelligence
That's
and self. I think your own personal statement about your own superpower is this self-awareness, knowing yourself, and then taking that out and knowing others. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for the audience today about what you mean?
One of the key things when we say about leadership and we talk about the buzzword, it really boils down to emotional intelligence. And if anybody wants to research that and get some good insights, you can look at Daniel Goleman's 12 competencies. It's super powerful, and it changed my life and my career. And that basically helps shape the 4 levels of leadership. And the first of the 4 levels of leadership is number 1, self. You have to understand yourself to understand others. You have to be inspired to inspire others. Once you can do that, then you have to self-regulate, and you become really good at then being socially aware, where you're one-to-one. So the next level is one-to-one, being able to interact with people one-on-one to listen, appreciate, and understand them. From there, one-to-many. Now, as a project manager, you're able to speak to many people because you understand them individually. You can speak to them collectively. And then once you do that, it's all about legendary leadership. And legendary leadership is your presence is felt when you're not around. You're impacting people positively, because we don't want to impact people negatively. You're impacting people positively because of the principles and the core values and who you are as a leader. You've instilled that in them, in the business, in what you do, in the projects you run, that people are proud and honored to be part of that. And so all of that comes from great emotional intelligence. And I've written 2 books. Well, I've written 1 book on it, and another one that I was a part of where I did that. And I just did a course with Joseph Phillips in the peer group where I did 100% emotional intelligence. I brought that part to it because a million people are going to talk about the processes and how to do the thing. I'm all about we can get that quickly. So leadership's the ultimate advantage, the emotional intelligence.
I think you might have just given us the secret about what your leadership course is about. It was there, these foundational pieces, right?
There's a lot more.
Understand yourself, be able to speak to individuals, be able to speak to the team, be able to be legendary.
Absolutely.
That sounds amazing. Well, you are legendary. Your
you.
history through the project management journey that you've had has taken you through some industries that make our eyes wide and make us go, oh my goodness, my jaw is open. How do you attempt, projects like that? Those are very important. They're very, they have a lot of gravity to them, and, there's security involved and structures involved. So that's very impressive. I'm sure if our audience wants to hear more about it, they can connect with you on LinkedIn and speak to you directly. Also, we'll drop some links in the show notes about Project Revolution and how to get in touch with your organization. I'll mention the books that you brought up. We'll drop those in the show notes too. And I'm going to actually share a list of Project Insights, PMBOK. Sorry, let me say that again. I'm going to share a list of Project Insights PMBOK-aligned features set too, so that if anyone's interested, they can see the different PMBOK features that Project Insight builds into our software platform to make and empower project managers. You make your life easier.
So powerful.
Yeah, we're so excited that you've been with us today. It's
Thank
been
you.
a real pleasure.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate your superpowers of building bridges, both figuratively and literally, and also self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And frankly, passion that echoes. I know, Matt, the passion's there for you. The passion's there for Project Insight. Just this really a love of lifting up project management professionals, raising up an army of them to do these great leadership things in the world across the country. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. I thank you for having me. I'm really honored.
Thank you for joining us today on the Wear Your Cape to Work podcast, hosted by Project Insight. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, follow, or leave us a comment. If you subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or other favorite podcast channels, you'll receive notifications of all of our new episodes. We'd also love it if you would share Wear Your Cape to Work with your network of PMPs or anyone else who might enjoy the show. Project Insight is an online project and portfolio management software that helps companies connect project data from across all of their teams and software tools so that they can make confident decisions about their business. Our website is projectinsight.com, and there you can find many resources for project professionals, including free PDU webinars, as well as a place to register for a demonstration or a consultation with one of our success teams. Thank you once again for joining today's conversation, and most importantly, thanks for wearing your cape to work.